Welcome to Toffee TV. I'm Peter McPartland.
And I'm Barry Cash, and welcome to our World Cup show.
And as Barry said, we was focusing on the World Cup tonight. We're previewing all the games involving Everton. Well, I say all the games, some of the games, with all the Everton players, especially the England ones.
For tonight's show, we're joined by a very funny comedian, Jake Mills, who's a big Evertonian.
Mountfield there.
Definitely isn't me.
And ex-Everton legend, Derek Mountfield as well. Legend. Derek, let's just quickly start with you on the subject of the World Cup. You're English in your playing career, you're an English centre-half playing for the finest club in Europe by a mile. You're winning everything, you're not conceding any goals, you're scoring more goals than some strikers who were selected, and you were never called up to an England squad. And the '86 World Cup, when you were at the peak of your powers, what happened?
I have no clue. I really don't know. It's one of my big disappointments in my career, never getting a cap for the country. If you look back to that 85 team, 86 team, I was the one player from that team that never got a cap. Everyone else got a cap. Even Van den Hauwe was born in Belgium, born in Wales, born in London, lived in London, but played for Wales. So I never got a cap for the country, which is a massive, massive disappointment for me. I never understand why. I played one under 21 game. That's the shirt behind you. One B international, and that was it. And I look at the players who played around me, my contemporaries at the time, and if I wasn't as good or better than them, the manager must have seen something in me that didn't suit his style or whatever. But I am disappointed never got me at least one cap or one call up.
Was the problem then the same problem with England now? Just clicks? Because I'd done a little bit of research. I don't normally do research, but I did do a little bit of research. And to look at the other three, there was three centre backs, and to see the teams they played for. I mean, okay, Terry Butcher was established, but Ipswich got relegated that season, and it just seemed like that's England's biggest problems is you can't introduce the players on form. It's about clicks, and also I think the other two players were Alvin Marvin, who had a good season for West Ham, but Terry Fenwick, who was playing for a very, very average Queen's Park Rangers. But the two things that stand out there are London clubs for me. So,
well, you look at it, they say there's north-south divide, but Gary Stevens, Trevor Stevens, Peter Reid, Paul Bracewell, they all got called up for the country for England. And I don't know, I look at some of those players, Terry Fenwick, Terry Butcher for me was an out-and-out, just he put his heart, Freddie Game, he put his heart and soul on the line. But people like Terry Fenwick, Alvin Martin, Graham Roberts played a few centre-back, Keith Cale came in the 90s. If I wasn't as good as those players, I wonder why. But then you go back to the 90s and you look at Steve Bruce. You know, Steve Bruce was probably, alongside Gary Parks, probably the best two English centre-halves, I thought, in the mid-90s. But he never got a cap either. So some managers like the look of certain players, some managers don't like the look of certain players. And I just say that what I did for Everton, and when I played for my country under 21, Bobby Robson thought, no, he's not what I want in the full team. But I am so disappointed they never got at least one cap or one call up from the country.
We've got a good age range here, so I'm going to start with you, Jake. What's either your best World Cup memory or one of your first World Cup memories? And don't say 1998 or after,
2006.
We're all just drenched in tears, so it's hard to say a best one. But no, I don't know. What I love about the World Cup is it's a chance to see everyone. And I like that it's in Brazil, because the World Cup to me, no matter where it is, it's about a carnival. It's enjoying it, and it's seeing all these different types of football. So that's what I like. But I know you just asked that, but I'm just going to ask you: did you have any relatives and you could have played for a different country?
Great question.
Great question. I couldn't play for Brazil because I'm not that talented. I believe I do have Irish blood in me, so I could have been an Irishman, but once I played for under 21s in those days, it ruled you out. Because once you played a competitive game for your country at any level, under 21 and above, it rules you out for anywhere else. But no, I'm English. I'm English. I wanted to play for England. I wanted to don the three lions and walk out at Wembley and sing the national anthem. And but I never got the opportunity. But I do believe I possibly could have played for Ireland if I'd maybe waited a couple of years. I don't know.
That's good. Send this to Andy Townsend. Send it to us.
So going back to my original question.
Sorry.
Your favourite World Cup memory?
I haven't got one. That's why I done that.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. I don't know really. I can't actually point one out actually.
What was your first World Cup?
First one that I was born in 1988, so the first one that I was aware of.
I was going to say 98, aren't you?
Probably.
Michael Owen and all that.
I had the little pencil case and all that, so yeah, I remember going to school with it.
Brilliant.
He was World Cup war charge in the classroom.
What was yours?
You see a lot on the television, so you remember seeing the TV, watching England win it, and that final Brazil goal in 1970, Pally's dummy and Banks' save. But what I remember about the World Cup is it's not actually a football actual match. It's the World Cup final in '78. Argentina versus Holland. The streamers, the ticker tape.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. You couldn't see the pitch, and that's what I just remember about the World Cup is that final coming out, and it was just a cascade of ticker tape everywhere. But I look back to my first one was probably '74 when you had that Germany with victory. But I remember one of the games where the referee booed for a free kick, and one of the African players ran the wall and booted it down the field. I remember that one well, yeah. But for me, it's not a game. It's just that atmosphere and the build-up to that '78 World Cup final with the ticker tape.
That's the one I'm going to throw to you.
82, mine. I just like you know, McKempes 1-0 in '78, David Coleman and all them, great memories, and all you've seen all the tapes now. But 82 for me in Spain was just absolutely fantastic. That Brazil side and just everything that went with it, you know, Keegan missing open goals and Brooking, the saviours coming on and we couldn't get through. And when Paolo Rossi gets the hat-trick against Brazil, I love Brazil, I feel as though we should have been Brazilian as well. But I just remember being gutted that they'd been knocked out by Italy and Tardelli giving it the big one. So I'd have to say 82. Yours?
Mine was 90. Mine's the iconic one, I think, is for a lot of people. I think that's like the one.
You should have been at that one.
Don't start me.
That's the one that resonates, isn't it? I know if you were Irish, you could have been it. I think that's the one that resonates with a lot of people because of. I think that was the beginning of the change of football. That's where a few people suddenly gone, hang on, we can make a lot of money out of this sport, not just through the sport, but through merchandise of Gaza and songs by Pavarotti and everything else. I think that's where football started to change a little bit. So that one was definitely mine.
This is just staying on that kind of theme. If you want to come to you again, you're going to say 98, but is there a favourite player that you've from a World Cup? Because nowadays we see everyone, don't we? And I think probably just a little bit different for you, because when you can remember it, it was in your face. But a favourite player, it doesn't have to be an Englishman, it can just be someone who you've seen.
I think that's what you're saying is right, is that we see them now. One of my all-time players, and I'm lucky enough because we do have the foreign players coming over, was Ballack. He was always one of my favourite players. Yeah. But you know, the likes of Zidane and the Brazilian players you wouldn't get to see. Yeah. And that's what I like about it. Also, like the likes of the Italian football and the Spanish football, it wasn't as popular on television as it is now as well. So that was always a chance to see the likes of Zidane, and I think Zidane, he probably sticks out more than anyone. I think you'd always want to see it. And obviously Ronaldo for my generation. Yeah.
R9. Yeah. Derek.
Which Ronaldo?
The fat one.
That one, that's the thought. For me, best player.
Or favourite one that you didn't?
One. I don't really know, to be honest, because when I watch football now, I don't watch individuals, I watch other things around the game, because as you start playing more and more, as a fan, you tend to just watch where the ball goes. But as a player, you tend to look around other sides, other bits and movements and what players are doing. But you know, I can't really pick out any special. Obviously, Pally was a fantastic player in his time, and you look at the way he dominated the football in 1970. I can remember those days. Some of you were younger. He was brilliant. But you look back to Gerd Muller, 74, who scored goals for fun. You know, and he scored goals that he shouldn't have got. And then you got Paolo Rossi coming from nowhere in 1982 to being the Golden Boot winner and the player of the tournament. And you got Maradona being what Maradona did in '86. Yeah, he might have done that one, but the second one was brilliant. So there's all little things that Zidane and the headbutting. It's little things that remind you of. But World Cups are there to create those dramatic moments, Roger Miller doing the dance around the corner. It's all about that magic. World Cup happens once every 4 years. You can watch these players week in, week out in the Premier League now. When you go to World Cup and they're playing for their country, it's a little bit different. So someone this season is going to come from nowhere this summer and be a star. And he's going to go from being worth £10 million to be £30 million, because that's how the market goes. There'll be one player this year that'll be a star. Who it'll be, I don't know. let's hope it's Ross Barkley or someone like that, but we'll have to wait and see.
It's not always a good thing that though, because I think Liverpool have been stung by this, particularly the likes of Diao, the likes of Diouf.
Yeah.
They have this amazing World Cup and then their price goes right up and then suddenly they can't really play.
So, boy, in the World Cup, you're put into situations you won't get put into for your club.
Yeah.
When you've got your country's badge on your shirt and you've got this penalty in the dying moments to win something. How would you feel? How would you feel walking up there going,
and your nation?
Yeah, it's a different situation. There's more pressure on World Cups than people actually realise.
I think the change has been just because of how much we're flooded with. We can see any Spanish game, any Italian, any German. From when I remember these, especially the likes of Brazil, a lot of their players weren't in Europe, so you would only see them in these tournaments.
The game changing. The game's changed since the Premier League was formed. The whole aspect of football has changed dramatically. When I played it was a sport. We were normal people who played football for a living, and we drank with the lads and we went out with. But now, with the advent of football, they're different. They're more professional. They're more. They call role models, but I'm not sure they are sometimes. But they're on a different pedestal now, so that they can't do the things we were doing in the 80s. Nice. You know, so there's more pressure on them. And some people handle pressure differently, but football's changed from being a sport to being a business now. And the business involves the clubs, agents, but also the players make a lot of money out of the sport now. And that's where the game's going. For me, slightly downhill. We've got to get back to the sport elements, get away from the business side. But when there's that much money getting pumped into it, it's always going to be the business now.
If we look at this World Cup, Everton are quite well represented, to be honest, when you look at it from other teams. You know, Phil Jagielka, Leighton Baines, Ross Barkley in the England squad, Kevin Mirallas, Lukaku, so people are still looking at him as an Everton player, won't they? Tim Howard for the United States as well. Looking at the three English players, obviously I think Phil Jagielka and Leighton Baines are going to start. Ross Barkley might come up.
Again, it's one of those open-ended questions. There's a game tonight, there's a game on Saturday. One player could get injured. You don't know. But at the moment, if Leighton Baines isn't the regular left back and Jagielka and Cahill Legler centre halves, they're doing something wrong, because them two are, I think, probably two of the most consistent players we've had at our club for 2 or 3 seasons. And to get the recognition they've had is brilliant. But for me, the big plus is Ross Barkley. If Ross Barkley doesn't come back from this World Cup brimming with confidence, he's already got enough confidence as it is, but I mean brimming with confidence and self-belief, and then taking that onto the next day, next year, Ross Barkley could be an absolutely outstanding player next year if he's allowed to develop. But this World Cup for him, and even John Stones, you know, I'm delighted for John Stones. You know, he's only played 20 games in the first team, but he's got an England cap.
Whoa.
I'm delighted for him, because I think as I watched the end of the season, I saw him 3 or 4 times. Roberto Martinez has a lot of confidence in John Stones. He gave Jagielka a chance to recover from the injury by playing Stones. Go back 12 months, if that had been David Moyes, John Stones would not have played the games he did. John Stones had been trusted by Martinez to play games, and that has given him the confidence to go on to what he's done. And again, if he doesn't come back from this world, or this 3-week block with those players full of confidence, he's not learned.
You can say the same about Ross Barkley, can't you? You know, we go back 12 months ago. David Moyes might have given him that chance and he wouldn't be in the England squad.
I know, and that is true, and to be fair, I'll hold my hands up, and when Ross Barkley did come on quite a few times under David Moyes, I wasn't that convinced. And I'd heard all the stuff about him.
I heard he said the same about you when he seen your routine.
Yeah, I'd been going 4 years now. But I don't know, it seemed a bit naive, and I think what Moyes done was go, oh, he's not ready, whereas what Martinez does is say, we'll go and learn out there, go and learn on the field.
I think the difference is, and this is how I see it as a former player, I know we're getting slightly off the World Cup track.
No.
David Moyes had his trusted group of players, and you had to get that trust off David Moyes to be a regular. Martinez doesn't have that trust. He has a belief in a player. And if he believes you can do it, you'll play for him and you'll be given a chance to play. But David Moyes didn't have that. He trusted his Newcastle. You look at the team David Moyes played, very rarely changed.
No.
But Martinez is happy to give the young kids, the Stones, the Barclays, Seamus Coleman. He's given Seamus Coleman a new lease of life this season.
Definitely.
By being letting a bit of freedom to go and play. But that comes down to him buying or bringing 2 players in, McCarthy and Barry. He knows that those 2, Baines can go down, Coleman can go down, and those 2 players will sit. So it's a different style of football, a different work ethic. But the difference for me is the positivity of Martinez and everything he says and does to the slight negativity and cautiousness that David Moyes used to express. I think the two teams over the last 18 months, or 2 years, the difference for me has been immense this last year compared to the previous 3 or 4 seasons.
That rubs off on the players as well, doesn't it?
It rubs off on the fans as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I don't come to Everton very often now, but people ask, oh, it's brilliant, oh, football's this, oh, isn't Martinez great? Yeah. Never met Roberto Martinez yet, but people that meet him are absolutely in awe, I think, because he's just so positive. And that's the difference. If your manager's positive and you're positive, it rubs off on everybody around you. And that, for me, is the biggest change in this club in the last 12 months. Yeah,
because I think I've seen over the years, there was a certain point, you remember, under Moyes, a certain point when we just wouldn't shoot. No one would shoot. And I think, to me, it always seemed like they didn't want the blame.
No, they wouldn't shoot because they had no goal bonus.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But it's that, I think, when you're seeing it now, is, as you're saying, it's rubbing off on the players. They feel more confident. And then, as you said, look at Shane's Coleman, look at Barkley, Stones, unbelievable. His story is unbelievable, and he's potentially going to the World Cup. But you know, as you're saying, being in that mix with them players, them senior players at that level, that can only do a player good.
I think those players will go this year. I know I'm disappointed for Brian Oviedo as well. He's not quite made it back, but you know, those players will come back from the World Cup tired. Yeah. You know, but hopefully on a cloud 9 and ready for the coming season to push Everton hopefully on to bigger and better things. But I'm delighted for Ross Barkley, Leighton Baines and Jagielka, but I'm more pleased for John Stones. And I personally think that he should be in the squad, because I think on the current last season he's a better prospect than Chris Smalling. I think I'd take Stones rather than Smalling, but you know, the manager's made his decision, made his choice. We have to stand by that. But for John Stones to 3 months ago, January, February, March, and he wasn't even the first team. Now he's that close from the World Cup finals. He's done fantastically, and I think he's got a great future.
Just a quick one. There's been a little bit of criticism around the England defence with people questioning Jagielka and Cahill. I think it's probably just because Jags has been injured. You said before that you think they're probably the best English partnership. Do you stand by that? Would you, if you don't manage it, would they be the two you'd go with?
The two will pick. If I'm honest, the best two English defenders this year have been Cahill and Terry.
Right, okay.
But John Terry said, I'm not playing for England anymore. So he's out the equation. Okay. So for me, the best two English centre-backs currently are Jagielka and Cahill. Yeah. I'm not convinced Phil Jones. No. I'm not convinced of Chris Smalling. No. But what I've seen of John Stones is good for the future. Okay. But of the centre-backs available for the country at the moment, you know, when I played, we had Butcher, Fenwick, Alvin Martin, Dave Watson, you know, Mark Wright. So there was a group. At the moment, you're thinking you'll go Smalling and Jones. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Cahill, Jagielka, they're probably the two. Stephen Coulter, Cardiff, just got relegated. Yeah. Michael Dawson, Tottenham, doesn't feature at all. No. You know, so you look at the nucleus, and I think they're probably the two that will demand it. But you know, I just hope that I keep going back to John Stones, that he's able to come away from the last 4 months of his life, you know, and a better, stronger player than he was, because I think he's done absolutely superbly. I really do.
Fantastic. The other one as well is Leighton Baines. There's still a shadow over him, isn't it? It's annoying. We're going back to what we were saying before about yourself in '86, and I still think that shadow's cast over Leighton Baines as well as Phil Jagielka. You know, talking about Ashley Cole, and now they've almost gone past that. Now they're talking about Luke Shaw, and you just think he is the best man for the job, and he should just be allowed to do it. But they're still causing this little bit of trouble, and I don't understand why.
We're on a TV show now talking about it. You pick up the paper tomorrow, it'll be in the paper tomorrow. Yeah. Does Leighton Baines read it? No, he doesn't. No. He won't give a monkey's what we say, what the press say. All he wants to hear is that Roy Hodgson or Roberto saying, you're my best player, you're playing left back. Leighton Baines will go, cheers, Gaffer. What is written, what is said, is irrelevant to the player. Because these players won't be bothered about what's written about them. They know, in their hearts of hearts, that I've been picked for my country and I'm the best player in my position. And I'm going to do my best for my manager. And I don't think it'll affect him. But Leighton Baines has always had this thing about Ashley Cole cast over him. Ashley Cole was a fantastic defender, but not the greatest going forward. No. And people say Leighton Baines is not the best defender, but great going forward. Put them together. What a left back. What a left back you'd have.
What a player.
I feel sorry for both. Well, I'm made up for both Baines and Jagielka that they're getting the chance to go to the World Cup, because as you said then, Ashley Cole, Ferdinand, Terry, you know, to compete with them that's difficult. But a lot of players would have to compete with them and then never get the chance. So at least now they are getting the chance. But now they're getting that chance to actually to get a World Cup. So you know, I am over the moon for them.
The good thing about it is they haven't just come into World Cup squad. They've played the qualifiers.
Yeah.
They haven't just been brought into the squad for the World Cup. They've played all the qualifiers. So the people like Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, John Terry have all been slowly pushed away by Roy Hodgson. And Roy Hodgson is now looking for the future.
Right.
How often have we gone to World Cup and we've gone, oh, great chance for the kids, and he names an old squad. At least he's brought people in and he's given them a chance. And for the future, we've got a European qualifying stage starting in 4 months' time. It's good for that.
Do you think that sort of political correctness though has stopped John Stones getting in the squad? Because that's the way I look at it. I think that Roy Hodgson, whether it's right or wrong, has sort of said, you got me here, so I'm going to stick with it. And even though this kid might be better than one or two of you, I'm gonna leave him for the next tournament.
Possibly. But go back to end of February, March, when John Stones got in. What were you thinking of John Stones? Oh, this is a young kid coming in. Oh, this could be a disaster for us. But he's learned, he's listened, he's come on. He's now started telling players around him what to do. So you can see John Stones has gone from being a 19, 20-year-old youngster to a 19, 20-year-old with bags of confidence and a bit more experience. If it's politically correct leaving, I always feel that out of the two, Smalling and Stones, I'd take Stones. I've said that for about 3 months now. But because Smalling's got I've been there before, he's got a bit more experience. You don't want to take too many young uncapped players. Personally, I'd take Flanagan before Glenn Johnson.
Definitely,
Personally, but you know, he's made a decision. I'm going to stay with him and him and him. But he's had those other two around that squad. So come the first qualifying game next season, Stones and Flanagan should be in that squad.
Be in the squad.
And I wouldn't be frightened if you went, right, new broom, let's go.
Straight in.
But we'll wait and see.
Just about the young players, Ross Barkley we spoke about, obviously we all rate him very highly. Are you expecting him to have, can he have an impact on this? Can he be the one we were talking about, someone comes from nowhere? We know he's not coming from nowhere, but what kind of impact can he have on this tournament?
Quietness. It's hard to say. It all depends on, firstly, what the manager he deems his strongest team. Is it going to be Gerrard with Wilshere and Henderson, or is it going to be Gerrard with Barkley and Henderson? We don't know what his format is. What he did on Friday, what he's done in the game against De Groot and the game coming, that's irrelevant. It's that first team he picks. Ross Barkley, I think personally, will be a sub and coming off the impact. Same, I think Raheem Sterling will, because you imagine playing in the heat of Manaus and it's screaming hot, and you can bring on the pace of Barkley and the pace of Sterling with 25 minutes to go. I think they'll be used more as subs. He will go with the bulk of his experience. You're looking at Hart and Johnson and Cahill and Jagielka, Baines, Gerrard, Rooney, Welbeck, or Sturridge. But he will have those 2 or 3 youngsters as half an hour to go. Go and tear them apart. Because I know for a fact that I'd be going home. Pass me to Lucas 8 quid. But I think there'll be more spot players coming on to push the game in the last 20 minutes if they need something out of the game. But as I said, it's good that we've got the likes of Sterling and Barkley around the squad. We've got Flanagan and Stones around the periphery for the future. It's great for England.
I think one thing that Barkley's got on the side as well is confidence. And I think he'll be ready and waiting to go on. And if he's called upon, he will be absolutely itching to get on. So I think that's what's good. And if you can, even if he's on the bench, he's not just going to be getting him more. He'll want to play. I can guarantee you, but he's has to warm up with the best warm up he ever does. Look, I'm ready.
Jake, this is probably a better question for you than Derek, but as an Everton fan, does it still worry you though? When you've got your best talent at a World Cup, when we sort of seen what's happened in the past where players have been tempted by moves. I mean, I'm already thinking, Steven Gerrard's been sitting in a room with Ricky Lambert for 2 minutes and look what's happened. That's how Evertonians think, isn't it?
It is, but it's nice going into it now with that positivity that we were talking about, because the players will have that positivity, and there's a positivity and there's a buzz around the club. it's always that injury thing as well, which you don't like, especially when you have the friendlies, which, you know, when they just put in the middle of the season. But I don't know, I think more so than the players that we're putting out there, it's looking at the players who we potentially want as well, or want to keep, say Lukaku for example. They're in the shop window as well, so if we've got these targets who we've got a price on their head, and then they have an amazing World Cup, suddenly they're out of our price range, we can't get them. So it's that as well. Yeah. But I think it is but I don't know, I feel quite proud this year. I feel quite proud of our boys going out there and doing it compared to other years, really. You know, like the other night in the friendly, we had four players involved in the England team. I don't know when the last time that was.
1986.
1986 it was.
Yeah. So there you go.
In Switzerland.
When I was born. So I think that's brilliant.
How far can England go? I'll come to you first. Can we win it?
The eternal question.
It is, isn't it?
But what is good about this World Cup is that we're going, I think the nation's going into it going, we're not going to win it. Let's just kind of, let's see us just play. And it's took all the pressure off. The English media is one of the
worst around.
It's horrendous. We build them up to knock them down. That's what we always do. We always build them up. As soon as you don't do it, we're first to knock them down. We love doing it. So the media have backed off as well, thinking there's no expectation, and I like that, because then they can go out and they can play and they can enjoy actually playing. I'm trying to make it sound nicer. No, they can't win it. They're not going to win it. But how far they get? I don't know, maybe quarters. I wouldn't expect more than that.
Derek?
I don't think we win it full stop. And if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd have said we won't get out of the group.
Yeah.
But looking at some of the results in the recent friendlies of teams around us who are playing, I'm a bit more optimistic now.
Right.
Because Ireland, Ireland, Italy, and I'm a bit more
feeling a bit more confident.
But 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I said no, we'll struggle. But I'm a bit more confident we can get out the group stage. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
The hard game is going to be the Italy and Uruguay game, so we've got to make sure we get a good one against Costa Rica out of the way.
Yeah.
And it could go down to goal difference, or I don't know if it's goal difference head to head, I'm not sure nowadays, but those two games against Italy and Uruguay are crucial for us. We can't afford to lose them. We've got to at least get a point out of the games. But the big game for us is making sure we do Costa Rica and get a lot of confidence and goals from the game. I know that's the last game we play, I think, so that could be really crucial for us. Yeah.
I tend to go by barbecues rather than rounds, and that makes it a little bit easier. How many barbecues you can have till you go out?
You'd have about
anyway. 3 then.
Yeah.
That's generally the rule, 3. So a lot of people won't be supporting England because they're too cool for school and all the rest of it. We know what they're like. So a lot of Evertonians, I think, will be following Belgium, because obviously Kevin Mirellis, Roberto Lukaku, and secretly Marouane Fellaini, because But how far do you think they can go? Because they are dark horses. They seem to have all the attributes. It's whether they can put it together on the big stage.
The worry for me with Belgium, they've got a good starting 11. What's the backup like in case of 1 or 2 injuries? I don't think the backup squad is as strong as it could be. So they are a lot of people's tips to go and do well. But I said, but that starting 11 or 12 nucleus is good. What the other 12 are like, I'm not convinced. So I'd say Belgium, possibly. They're a lot of people's favourites, but I don't think personally you can pick a winner this year, because I think it's a fairly open World Cup this year. There's teams that shouldn't be there that are there, there's teams that aren't there that should be there. But that's the beauty of the qualifying groups, the World Cup. But I don't think Belgium will win it. I was looking at them a while ago, but the more you look at it and you look at the squad they've got, I don't think it's a strong enough squad in depth.
Lukaku top goal scorer, possibly?
He scored 4 in 2.
No, he had 3 got took off. Belgium had too many subs. He's lost the hat-trick.
Right.
So, but he did.
Scored.
He still scored.
Yeah. I think Belgium they're like the hipster team now, aren't they? In fact, Belgium are the New England, because we're all building them up, ready to knock them down.
They're not the New England. They've got talented players.
Yeah, but are the individuals though? That's what I don't know. There's a lot of individual talents, but I don't think they're going to do as good as everyone else is saying that they're going to do. But
I think Derek's right. There's after Lukaku, it's Mirallas you're looking as the main striker, because Benteke's obviously injured. So I think in the final third.
For a competitive
full of a goal. So for saying that it's the most open World Cup, because it feels like that. I mean, I still fancy Brazil or Argentina, but if we had to put you on the spot, we'll just go round. I'm going to start with you, Derek, because just at the end of the line.
Thank you very much.
Who would you say to win it? Who would you tip to win it?
Oh. Obviously, being the host nation, Brazil have got to be up there or thereabouts, but don't rule out the likes of Germany and Italy and Spain, because I know no European team has ever won in South America. This year could buck the trend.
But I'm going to put you on the spot. Name one.
Name it. I hate this. I hate being put on the spot. I really haven't looked in depth at the groups and who's in where, so I really could honestly say that, because I'm an Englishman, I haven't really looked at England.
Right,
I've not looked into the groups around it, but I've got a feeling it could be a European team this year. I think we could book the trend this year with a European team. And as I said, you've got Germany, you've got Italy, you've also got Spain. And Spain are current holders. Yeah. So I've got a feeling it could be a European team.
Okay, Jay?
I can't really see past Brazil with it being in Brazil. And I think that'd be great, really, wouldn't it? To see the celebrations and everything like that. And just to have a Brazilian team who were back up there and actually, you know, doing it. So I back them, really.
I watched them against... They just played Panama. Yeah.
I think as a four, we could be.
That's what I said. Exactly.
To be fair,
I said they're beating a team that are famous for having a canal.
That's what he texted me. He did text me.
Not a cigar.
No.
No. Too young for that.
But so I think Brazil. I think it'll come from Brazil or Argentina. But I'm going to say Brazil.
I fancy Argentina personally. I think they've got all the attributes. That's if Messi turns up, and I've said this before. I really hope whoever wins it, someone really stands out for them. I'd love Messi to have a really good World Cup, so people actually say, yes, he is one of the best.
That's what people say, that Messi's lacking. Is a good World Cup.
It's the good World Cup.
We talk about Belgium. Is there any other team? I know you haven't said you haven't looked too much, but is there one team that you think could shock everyone, that maybe not win it, but get to a semi-final, a little bit like Uruguay did 4 years ago?
Maybe Uruguay again, you don't know. Bit more experience. But I don't know. There's always going to be the shock results. Remember Argentina losing? Was it in '98? The first game to one of the
1992.
90 to
the
Cameroon.
The first game. You're always going to get them shocks, and it's because you go into those. I bet they went there thinking, this is going to be dead easy. This and whoa, hold on a minute. So I think mentally and physically, teams are far better prepared. There's going to be the weaker teams, but the weak teams will still make sure that they're not rolled over. But as for a shock team, again, I don't know. I need to sit down and get that World Cup chart out the paper.
What you're saying to me is you haven't got your Panini sticker book,
which
I'm very disappointed about.
No, I haven't got my sticker book. I'm in a few print sticker books. I want them pictures back, please.
Jake, anyone stand out for you that you think, you know what?
I don't know, because that's the beauty of it, is that you don't really know, and they do shock you. So it's hard to say, but I think Uruguay are. You know, if he can drag them to the top of the league, he can get them through. So yeah, they're potentially going to be a good one, but I don't know. I mean, it could be anyone.
I think Chile. We have spoke about this before. I think Chile have got all the attributes. Keep the ball well, got good pace. Were very good in the last one until Fernando Torres sneezed and got a penalty when he were there at an important time. So I think probably Chile may surprise a few people.
Is there going to be one player that stands out? Is it going to be the normal people, or is there someone who's going to... that one player...
There'll always be the normal people, but there's always one that comes from nowhere and has an absolute blinder. Let's hope it's a Ross Barkley, or a Phil Jargate or Leighton Baines creating goals for everybody. But there's always one person that comes from nowhere and has a really, really, really good World Cup. Who it's going to be, I don't know.
Is the one... Well, I'll ask that, which of the Everton players do you think is going to have a standout performance? Because I think you just mentioned Ross Barkley, but I think it'll be different for a lot of people who will be the player who stands out.
Yeah, I think what Ross Barkley has going for him is a lot of people won't know him. They won't know who he is. They've heard the name, but who is he? And he could be one of these people that come, possibly a bit more like Raheem Sterling as well. Yeah. You know, all of a sudden, well, where's this kid come? He's got pace. Well, look at him. And that's the sort of shock element you need sometimes. Go back to 1982, you said, you know, Toto Scalacci scoring goals for fun. No, that's not 90.
That was 90, but 90, yeah. But Rossi comes from nowhere, yeah.
Scored bags of goals.
Yeah.
You know, so someone will come along and, where's this fella come from? And he'll start scoring goals, or be the best keeper you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'll be in the Premiership next year.
Next year for 25 million.
For you, Jake, is there going to be an Everton player who stands up above the other Everton players?
See, this is what upsets me more about the Brian Oviedo, because I think that the way he was playing, he could have, if he would have went to the World Cup, I think he could have really shone, really, but unfortunately he was just, I mean, what a recovery anyway, but he was just short, which is a shame. But I'd like to say, and it will disprove me in a couple of days, but I'd like to say John Stones could do it, because the same reasons that you're saying. I mean, when he played for England the other day, apparently on Twitter it was trending or something saying who's John Stones.
Who's John Stones, yeah.
Even the English don't know him. So, you know, if he can, and because he's more than just a defensive player, he's getting forward and he can create things. I'd love it if he was that player for England and for Everton.
I'm not sure. Baines. And I'll say why. Just because I think England, because of the conditions, it might take a set piece, and he's the kind of person who can deliver either a corner or a free kick. So he may be.
If he gets a chance.
If he gets the chance.
Well, yes. I honestly think the standout player is going to be Phil Gilgilke. I think he's going to prove so many people wrong this World Cup, and I think, you know, he might get a really important goal that separates, you know, two teams in a big game, and I really hope he does, because I think he's got this shadow hanging over his head of, as you mentioned before, John Terry. People keep on willing him back. I keep saying to people that you might as well bring Jack Charlton back if you're going to keep willing players to come back. So I really hope he has the performance, but you know, Leighton Baines as well, I really hope he does well.
It's one of them, for everyone there, you wish them all the best, but for our lads especially, we hope it's a fantastic tournament for them, and they all come out, as I said before, full of confidence, ready for next season, because although it's a World Cup, my focus is on August when the season starts, ready for next year.
You've set me up nicely there, because we're going to finish off with just a little... We asked people basically on Twitter to give us a few questions. We kept your secret who was coming on. We just said a legend. But I'm just going to ask you just about Everton, really. For the, as well. We already said you were already the legend, so we were okay. So @_Rye Brown has said, what can Everton do to keep their success from last season and take it into next season? What do they need to...
It's going to be a big season for Roberto and the team, because obviously we brought Gareth Barry in on loan, who was phenomenal. We brought Lukaku in, who, although he scored 16 goals, needs to learn how to muscle centre ours around a bit. And we had Delafeu, who came in, was a bit hit and miss at times. So those three players not be here. It's who he invests in now, who he brings in. Looking at the revenue that we got through TV last season was a stupid amount of money. So how much money has he got to invest? Has he got his targets? How close he is to signing them? And let's hope his target's not in the World Cup, and that's a good one, because we won't be able to buy him then. But I just hope that we can move on. They always say, I said before about the first trophy, the first we win is easy. The hardest one, the second one's easier. This season was fantastic. We surpassed everybody's expectations. Next year's going to be massive for us. And can we do the same as this year, with the same belief and the same confidence? Because you lot as fans are full of confidence now, full of hope, full of belief, and it's up to Roberto and the lads now to transfer your belief and hope onto the field of play and move us on to the next level. We've got to finish 5th next season, because that's what we want, minimum. We've got to get a cup, or into the final or semi-final, final. Give us some more belief. My only concern is the European competition. Will it get in the way of what we're trying to do? Will it add too many games to us? Will it make the players more tired? Or will it develop some of the younger players playing in European football?
Well, at Les Roberts 77 said, would you sacrifice a league position for a cup win, whether it be the FA Cup, the League Cup, or in European competition?
Well, as long as the league position is lower than 16, yes. I said before, we were talking off there, you know, I was lucky enough to be an Everton supporter, born as an Everton fan, supported them, then played for them. In my time, 1969-70 was just a bit too young for it. We've won one cup in my career, in my life, that I haven't been involved in. You know, 95, I had a knee operation, so I couldn't go to it. I want to go to Wembley with my mates and celebrate an Everton victory by dancing round Trafalgar Square Fountain. I've not done
What's
it.
That name?
It's God, it's well done now. But I want to be able to celebrate an Everton victory with my mates. They all went to Rotterdam and to Wembley, you know, and celebrated me.
You were playing in it?
Yeah, but I want to be a fan. I'm a fan. I want to celebrate with my mates.
That was way.
People don't understand that. They say, well, you've won it. That's different. Yeah, I was part of the team. But I was in the ground stuck on a coach, took back to a hotel. I wasn't straight from Wembley into London. I didn't do it. I want to do it in May. So my ambition is to Everton to go, and I'll take 16th next year, but get me to Wembley, get me an FA Cup, get me a Milk Cup or a League Cup, or get me a Europa League. I'd love Everton to be winning something, and I could be there with my mates celebrating.
Same for you, Jake?
Yeah, I want to be buying the cans.
And give me a free can.
In Trafalgar Square.
No, I think that's what it all comes down to, is cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think, as I said, once you've got that one, it's a monkey on our back at the moment, and until we get rid of it, it's always going to be lingering there. So as soon as we can do that, then you feel stress-free as fans as well, and you can do that then. So
as Jake said, we are one of the teams now will never win the league because the big clubs get so much money out of TV revenue, Champions League football. It's going to be very hard for an Everton to do what it did in the 80s and come from nowhere and win a trophy. You know, even Blackburn in the mid-90s had money.
Had some money, yeah.
It's going to be so hard for the other clubs. I'll put Villa and Tottenham into that equation as well. You know, so we have to rely on a cup success to give the fans some silverware. So we're never going to look. I personally think that we're going to win the league for a long, long time. Yeah. You know, but we can win a cup, and I think under the manager we've got a bit of belief because you saw what we did last season against Man City for Wigan. Yeah. You know, he marshalled them off the pitch. Yeah. And he got them really well organised. And I think we can get something over the next couple of years. And I hope and pray that we do get to a final and we do get the chance to celebrate, because I know what it's like to win it, but I want to be with the fans and celebrate.
And we celebrate it. At Brown's Gold is for you, Jake, has asked, what does the future hold for our players? Are Pienaar and Osman still up to the task?
Well, I think I might have said it last time, I can't remember, but it speaks volumes that Pienaar didn't play for ages at the end of the season, and everyone forgot. No one, you know, there was one point when Pienaar would be out and you'd be itching for him to get back. You couldn't wait for him to get back, because then there'd be a bit of creativity in the team. Now we've got that creativity around it. So I don't think his career's over at Everton. Do we know how long's he got left in his contract? Do we know? Does anyone know?
I think he's come off. Yeah, 2 years left.
I think the games I watched, I think when Pienaar came back in the side, you can see that he'd not played a lot of football. Yeah. He looked rusty. He looked a little bit off the pace. Yeah. And that's the big thing now, because players might not play for 6 weeks, and there's no reserve team football. Yeah. They're not getting that match fitness to come back in. When I was around, injured, you played in the reserves a couple of times before you played. So players are coming in from training with the lads just so they have to play a game of football. And I think it's a lot harder now for them to come straight back into the game. And I thought when I saw Pienaar, he just looked rusty. He looked off the pace. Yeah. Maybe he left him in for 5 or 6 games. That sharpness comes back. Yeah. But no, out he comes suddenly back in. You go, and it's difficult now for players. It's difficult. But you know, whether Pienaar and Osman can stay long term, I think Ossie's done a fantastic job for the club. Definitely. You know, people know he gives the ball away, but he always wants the ball. He never turns his back a lot. He's always, give me the ball, I'll have it, I'll have it. And he's one of the few players on the team that always does that. Yeah. You look at certain players, there's the number again, doesn't want the ball. Ossie always comes up, always wants the ball. Yeah, you're going to make mistakes. Like the Sunderland game, you make mistakes, but at least he wants the ball. He still wants the ball all the time. That's one of Ossie's strengths. He's always after the ball, always looking to get the ball.
I think what you were saying then about Pienaar needing 6 games to get back into it, he's not going to get it.
Not going to get it now. No, so not going to get it because the current climate doesn't allow that.
And just finally, this is coming from a few different people. Obviously, the summer coming up now after the World Cup, it's going to be really important we bring people in. What would be the #1 position you'd strengthen?
Centre forward, possibly centre midfield. I'm looking at losing Barry and Lukaku.
I'll be here. I'm all right.
No, I've seen you play. So we need a natural goal scorer. I don't think we've got one in the club. I don't think Lukaku is a natural goal scorer. He scores the screamers, the wonder goals, but he's not a 2-yard back of the backside. You know, we need, if Gareth Barry goes, who will he play alongside? McCarthy. I think McCarthy last season got better and better and better and better. Now, will it put Barkley in there? Is Barkley a holder? No, he's not. He likes to get forward. So maybe centre midfield, up front. Are you happy with just one right back? Or are you happy to put Stones in there? Left back and Oviedo, okay. Goalkeeper, is Roddles up to it? No, you can pick every position and pick faults in it, or what you think are weaknesses. But I just hope that we can keep the likes of Gareth Barry and get another big target man. I was surprised he let Jelavic go, if I'm honest. But he said he wants him to get a chance to play the World Cup, so good luck to that. But I'm surprised he let him go. Because when he came in, he scored 2 goals, then got sold. So it's a surprise that. But I just think he'd be looking at probably centre mid, centre forward. Are we happy down the flanks? Yeah, we're not too bad, but it's a squad game now.
Yeah.
Look at the Everton team from the mid-80s, it was 15 players, 16 players. Now it's 25.
Yeah.
And it's a different avenue. But I just hope that the people he's identified we can afford to get. And we don't let what good things did last season fall away. If we let it fall away, it's a backward step for us. We've got to kick on and move on again. And I think under this manager and the players we've got around him, I think we've got a great chance of doing that.
I think I agree with that, and I think if you were keeping Lukaku, you'd still want to look at that striker as well. So then, if we're potentially losing him, which let's just assume that we're going to, then you're going to have to definitely look at one or two attacking. We said last time when we done it about Kone, everyone's he's the forgotten man at the moment, and we have got him to come back. Whether he can do it or not, still to be seen. But yeah, we're going to have to, and it's funny because at Everton we're famous for our strikers, but at the same time it's been a long time when we haven't had anyone, for
and Evertonians love the strikers. They love the big number 9. Well, whatever number they get given now. Yeah. We've always loved that. They had a Joe Roll. I was a Bob Latchford was mine. Then we had Sharpie, and then you can't class Cotty in them as big number 9s, but then Ferguson came in, and then Lukaku come in, we had Jelavic, we've had Jakubu, we've had Beattie. And we've had players who, and Everton fans love number 9. You can be the worst number 9 in the world, but you love you because you wear number 9. We love a goal scorer, and I just hope, I think that's what we need to look at as a goal scorer. He said Lukaku might not come back. We're not seeing much of Kone, if anything. We need at least one, maybe 2 strikers.
But just to finish, would you take the kid at Swansea, Boney? Have you seen a lot of him?
I was speaking with Kevin Ratcliffe a couple of weeks ago, and he says best player we've seen for a long time. Very good player. And he said he'd take him straight away, because Kevin does a lot of commentaries and watches a lot of Welsh football for them. He says very, very good player, and he'd take him straight away. 19
million, they're talking. Pay it if you need goals.
The current market dictates it. Years ago he'd have been worth 1.2 million or £600,000. But nowadays, in the current climate, it's the club can listen to demand wherever they want. So if it's £19 million, if we can get him. But Ratty says he's a great player. Yeah, he's
the only thing with that as well, though, is I think that you would have to have another replacement, because he'd go with the African Cup Nations as well, so you'd lose him for a chunk. So
stop ruining it for us. We don't even sign them. Don't even know we've got the money.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Right. Big thanks to Derek Mountfield again for joining us. Top man.
Cheers, Derek.
Jake.
Cheers.
Jake Mills, Barry Cass, and Peter McParland. Thanks very much for joining us once again on Toffee TV. Don't forget, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Toffee TV1. I had to remember that, I couldn't even think about it. On YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave them underneath on YouTube as well. We'll be back soon.